Welcome back to season 2 of the Katie Wellness Show. I am back with more amazing tools, awesome interviews, and some great discussions to help you optimize your health, body, mind, and spirit. Not only can you use these tools every day, you can also teach them to your children and to your family members so that you can raise emotionally and physically resilient children, so that you can show up more in your life, that you can take back your personal power. Get ready to tap into your intuition. I'm so excited that you're here. You are worthy of health and of joy and of thriving in your motherhood, thriving in your life. Thank you for being here today. Welcome to the Katie Wellness Show. I have with me today Therese Holland. Therese, will you please introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. My name's Therese Holland, and I am a retreat leader and a venue owner. So I sort of wear two hats, and my venue is in Hoonah, Alaska. And I first started leading retreats in Africa, in a country called Zambia, with an organization called Mothers Without Borders. And I first went on the retreats, and then I led retreats for about 7 years after that.
I didn't know that. That's really cool. And so now the reason why I wanted you on my podcast today is just to learn more about your retreats in Hoonah and the healing that is there and the uniqueness of the experience there. I've seen pictures, I've heard stories, I've heard you talk about it and just your passion behind it. So will you tell us a little bit more about your retreats that you're doing now in Alaska?
Okay. So last summer was our first season, and we have 3 retreats. One was an all-women's retreat, one was a couples retreat, and one was an all-men's retreat. And Hoonah lends itself to any type of combination. The thing that I really love about Hoonah is the energy that is there. I first came to Hoonah on my personal boat, and I remember the first step on the ground, I felt it just energized, like this pure, beautiful, clean, soothing, amazing energy.
I feel like Alaska is very rural, untouched. It's like not super modernized, not super industrialized. Like from the pictures that I've seen, it's just people living their lives there. It's not like these big companies coming in and buying and building and sky rises and all of that. Like you can see the ocean from your doorway, from your balcony.
Right. And Hoonah is actually a tribal village. So we feel very honored that we are able to share their space. And there's so much tradition and so much to learn about their culture. That's one of the things that I really want to focus on in my retreats, is to learn about the Hoonah, the people, and meet some of them and watch them carve their totems and do their dances and share with us the traditions they've had, because they were very instrumental in when the Russians were trying to invade in the beginning of when Russia came over to Alaska to sort of do their furs and all that. They wanted to keep coming down the West Coast. The Klingits held them off, and they did a great job.
I feel like tribal stories and rituals are very much passed down through stories and through language. They aren't necessarily written. And so learning about these different cultures, being immersed in them, being taught by them, hearing the stories. Otherwise you don't hear them. You maybe don't even know that they exist. So I think that's really unique to Hoonah and to this retreat opportunity. Yeah. And I feel like retreats are, I've heard of them like for a lot of years, but I feel like they are becoming a lot more commonplace to allow these experiences for people to come and be truly immersed in the environment, which is where we get that firelight within us to make the changes needed to put us on this path that maybe we felt like we needed to be on, but we didn't know how to get there. So what are some of with each of your retreats that you've done with the all women's, with the couples, and with the men's, I'm sure each of those experiences were very different because of the the demographics and the groups and trying to tailor it to that group. Will you give me some examples of some of the things that are done at this retreat?
Sure. There are many activities, and then there are also kind of the spiritual healing side. So I am a sound healer, and I also work in a few energy modalities. So one of the things that we do is a sound bath, and I can do that inside or I can do that outside. The other thing that we do is a cacao ceremony on our deck, drinking this beautiful ceremonial cacao while we are watching the view and just taking in all of the senses with nature of you sense the hear, you see, you taste, you smell all of nature. The opportunity we have in Hoonah as well is to do forest bathing. Forest bathing is like sound baths, only you are walking in the forest. And so that's another place that we spend some time at the retreats. The other thing that we do, Hoonah Matata has our own boat called Hoonah Matata, and we take people whale watching. The whale and the orca, it's humpback whales and orcas, and they are majestic and they're gentle and they talk to you and you watch them in their feeding habits, and it's almost sacred. You feel like you're just sharing that space with them and they're allowing you to be there and observe them.
Yes, such magnificent animals. Yes. I personally, this is notes for my listeners. I personally have had a sound bath with trees, and my boys came with me, and it was wonderful. And she uses lots of different sounds to help wake up our bodies to those energetic vibrations. Our bodies are very energetic. And so doing this energetic healing, the spiritual work, waking up your bodies, because so many of life experiences dull our senses to make it so it's less painful. That's what our bodies do to try and protect us. But this is, again, waking us up to all of those senses, the energy senses, and being fully immersed in viewing and smelling and tasting. And I've never done forest bathing. I've heard of it before, but I just think I love hiking. And when we go on hikes and it's quiet and it's peaceful and you find a trail that doesn't have a ton of people on it, which is probably where you're at in Alaska.
Yes.
You get a lot of forest to yourself and just the quiet. We don't get that very much in our society today. Just the pure quiet, the nature sounds, the crackling of the wood and the crunch of the leaves under your feet and
the sound of the birds. One of the activities that we do is a bird watching nature tour, and the birds are amazing. And the lady that takes us is a bird person, and she will even bring calls, and she'll hear a certain bird and then she'll make the call, and then the birds will come to us. And sometimes we've seen them feeding eagles. Some of the tribal people will feed salmon to the eagles. We get to watch that. When you talk about forest bathing, people sometimes get a little freaked out, like, what are we wearing and all that kind of stuff. It's nothing to do with bathing. What you're doing is immersing in the sound and the smell and the feel of where you are. And one of the things that we do on our boat is we call it a sacred silent boat ride. And we go up one of these amazing fjords that will have nobody in there except us. And we just completely are silent and tune into all the sounds and all the things that we see. Sometimes we see bear on the shore. Many times we see salmon jumping. But we just listen and we observe. And you just sort of immerse yourself in that. And one of the things that my passion is to open that up for people so that they notice it when they get home. Because a lot of times in our busy lives, we're so immersed in all of the activities, we don't realize, oh my gosh, the clouds here are amazing, the sunsets, the birds, the plants. And so if you can open up to that when you go to Alaska, and then you stay open and you come back home with a whole new appreciation for where you live.
So it's not just a come and enjoy and then go back to your life and go back to your routine. It's really starting you on a path of being open and recognizing the goodness that is around you and taking in the earth's energy. Mother Earth is so healing. She has such healing energy.
For sure.
And we don't spend enough time outside. So this is.
And then, you talk about nourishing. That's a whole nother part of the retreat.
Okay.
So we eat and we drink what is there and what has been grown there, what has been caught there. The water is pure and delicious out of the tap. And so we have a hydroponic greenhouse in Hoonah where we can buy our greens, our herbs, all those kind of things, tomatoes, cucumbers. Then we also have the ocean, which provides halibut and salmon and crab. And we can go in the woods and pick our mushrooms. And so, and the berries. I can't even start on the berries. There are 12 different types of berries that grow right where we are able to pick them. And, different times, different seasons, of course. But our neighbor made 12 different types of jam last summer.
That's amazing. So what are some that maybe we haven't heard of before? Or that are not as common, like raspberry, strawberries?
There's a thimbleberry.
Okay.
There's a cloudberry. There's a salmonberry. There's a red huckleberry and a blue huckleberry. And we have our own version of blueberries. And the thimbleberries are just like the shape of a thimble when you pull them off. It looks like a little thimble in your hand. And every different type of sweetness. One thing that we do make sure of is because the bears really like the berries too. Mm-hmm. So being bear aware is a thing. And we just watch out for them and make a lot of noise when we're berry picking.
Yes. So I'm assuming, I'm sure that the energy present during the all-female group versus the all-male group was very different. Can you speak to the different activities that were tailored to help those different groups get what they needed out of the experiences?
Sure. The women were a little less focused on physical activities. The men wanted to chop wood. They actually went to the sawmill and helped the owner chop wood and process wood. They got to see that, which was pretty cool for go to an Alaska sawmill.
Yes.
And cool. Then they had some locals take them in the backcountry, and they were going for a type of salmon that is only in the rivers. And so they spent the whole day really just foraging through the woods to get these fish. But then they also wanted to do the activities where it was cacao ceremony and sound bath. And we did a fire ceremony as well, which is another way of healing, kind of a way of getting rid of what you want to get rid of and taking in what you want to bring in. And so you open that up in the fire and you deposit it in the fire. It's awesome. The women, they were more into the retreat leaders' energy therapies and their energy. They would present a principle, and then you would go deep into that principle and learn about it. And then you would kind of focus on that during the day as you would do your activity. So for them, it would be a principle, a discussion, and then an activity. And then at night, we would have a discussion on that principle to kind of see what came up that day, what we learned.
A lot of times we have to give our bodies and our minds permission to process it and to see how maybe that principle sits with us personally and how we would interpret it, because I'm sure every single person interpreted that principle differently, and seeing how it would apply to their lives.
And I always bring a retreat leader that will facilitate that. So I have one this summer that's coming that founded Mothers Without Borders. She's very big on trauma therapy and healing and life coaching and meditation. And then I have another one who is a somatic healer. So she's going to be doing some somatic healing, somatic dance, all that kind of energy, which is really amazing. And then my third is also a sound healer. She does sound baths, and she is a Reiki practitioner. So we'll be doing some Reiki energy work. So each one will be very different. And because there's only 3, It's pretty exclusive and limited on how many people I can get there.
How many people do you typically take per retreat session?
So 6 or 7 is optimal. 8 is completely full. But
Okay.
8 is the most, plus my retreat leader. And then I have a place for the retreat leader to stay in my cabin.
Okay.
Separate from the lodge.
Okay. So the lodge is where the retreat participants would stay. Some of them are grouped rooms. Some of them, I think, what did you tell me? There were 1 or 2 were single.
I can do 1 or 2 singles if we only have 6 in the retreat.
Okay.
But if we do 8, then we have everyone is in a double room, and you share the bathroom.
Okay.
And I have a housekeeper that comes and cleans the bathrooms every day, so they're nice and fresh.
And with the retreat, food is provided? Yes.
It's included.
Okay.
Yep.
And I also think it's really interesting how people get to the retreat, right? You fly into what part of Alaska?
Juneau, which is the capital. Okay. So you fly into Juneau, and then you have an option of taking a seaplane, which holds 9 people, or a ferry. And the ferry is about 3 hours. It's beautiful. You will see the mountains. You often can just see the whale from the ferry. And the seaplane as well is beautiful. It's a 20-minute flight. We have our own airport in Hoonah. And so either way, it's all part of the adventure to get there.
Yes. I love that too. Are you ready to take the scenic route and slow down, or are you wanting to experience the plane, the quick ride, but get to see the bird's eye view, literally?
Yeah, and we are very much at the mercy of weather. So Hoonah is in a rainforest. We do get a lot of rain, but it's usually just rains and then stops. But we don't let that interfere. Unless it's a storm in the water, safety is always the first priority. But if it's raining, we put our rain gear on and we go outside and we do whatever we were going to do. That doesn't stop us.
Well, again, it's part of the immersing yourself in, and there is something so healing about being in the rain, playing in the rain, even if you have a poncho on, even if you have your rain gear on, right? Like just that healing in the same way that crying allows us to release our emotions.
Right, so. Exactly. I would say one more thing too about Hoonah is that the community is amazing. You almost feel like you've gone back in time when people actually knew people. You know your neighbors. And if I walk down the street, almost always I come back holding a bag of fish, a bag of greens, a bag of something somebody has made. Here, have a jar of jam. Here, have a jar of salmon. And it's just like that. If I give someone something in a jar or a dish, it comes back full of something. And I love that.
That is very unique. But what a cool experience. Do the retreat participants have opportunities to interact with locals, whether through like markets or experiencing more?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I have a woman who she collects plants, she processes them, she makes teas, she makes salves for healing, for mosquito bites, all those things. So she comes to my lodge and she walks us around my yard and shows me the Devil's Club and all the different types of things that are growing there. And then we go inside and she tells us how she processes them. And then she brings a bunch of her things. So if you want to buy something and take something home, you have that opportunity. And my neighbor also takes us mushroom hunting. The mushrooms are called chanterelles. So we go out in the woods, we find the chanterelles, we take a little propane burner, he cuts them up, puts them in butter and some breadcrumbs, and we eat them right out in the woods.
Yum.
Yeah, so you absolutely do get to meet the locals. It's so different from if you were coming in on a cruise ship or whatever. Another example, if you happen to like crab, I will make a large crab louis salad, have it all ready. Then we take the boat to our crab pots. We pull the pots up. We find out how many crab are there. We take the crab. We process the crab. We boil the crab. We set it on the table and we eat it with our salad right then.
So very fresh.
Where can you ever do that?
Alaska is where you can do that. Okay, that is...
And if you don't like fish, that's okay too, because we have so many greens and vegetables. We have a hydroponic greenhouse, so we can get fresh greens. And if we don't have it, we can have it flown in from Costco.
Awesome. So when does your first retreat session start for this coming year in 2026?
It will be mid-July.
Okay.
And then we have 2 in September.
Awesome. I was on your website, looking at your website earlier today, and you have a list of the retreat leaders. Is that what you call them? The retreat leaders that are coming in. So anyone who is interested in reading about more of what these retreat leaders can help you do. But it sounds like you've kind of thought of everything of, being immersed in the culture, being immersed in nature, and also learning to look inward and be how do I say that? Just be.
Right. Just to be, just to find yourself. That's one of my retreats is called Awaken in Alaska, a journey to your higher self. So finding your higher self is really the goal. It's to just bring you back to your clearness, your focus, your feeling love, and just going home with that feeling.
So where can we go to find out more about these retreats?
So my website is called Hoonah Matata Retreats. Now you spell it Hoonah, which is different than it sounds. Hoonah and then Matata, Matata, retreats with an S.
.com. Okay. And I will include the link directly for that. So anyone who's on the podcast platform, they can just click on the link.
And for anyone that comes, before you come, we will have some pre-meetings, some Zoom meetings, packing list, everything that you need to feel like you're prepared to come there. You'll talk to me personally because I want to answer all your questions.
Hey, that is fantastic. You really have thought of everything. Thank you for sharing this with us today, and your passion for helping people find clarity in their lives, I think, is very contagious. It makes me want to do some of this again. I'm like, oh, maybe I need another sound bath. Maybe I need another.
Right, and I can't wait for you to come.
I know, I'm going to come.
For you to be there. So thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here.